everything's moving in the right direction, but I'm like, it's moving slow because it's just starting.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of variables, like I'm not up here yet full time.
Yeah.
I obviously can't make shit out of water. Like I can't be making results of stuff that doesn't really exist yet. Like we have a lot to do behind the scenes with no results. So it's like, it's just, I'm not exactly where I want to be. And I think that's a lot of it too, where it's like, I can't even have like, okay, I just have to buy into the patience. Like, I want to fucking break through this door, but I can't because there's
just too many things outside of your control and time. Yeah.
I think I was listening to a podcast last night, and you sent it to me, and it was interesting to think about with Alex Hormozi when he said his game of life analogy, and I can't help but think about it with especially what we just talked about, and like not being able to break through the barriers of like, and so many things out of your control, but him relating life to like, we're just playing with borrowed chips. Yeah. Borrowed chips. Yeah. What do you think? I want to hear your thoughts on that, because I feel like you're very like, what do they call it? Nihilism. I feel like you're more of that route. You're like very detached. It's just like you treat it like you start to see business now as a game, and like relationships as a game, that you're just playing on borrowed time and borrowed money. And I feel like that's a good switch. I feel like that's a good perspective people could gain a lot from, where it's like, I don't have to bring my emotions into everything. Like, yeah, I should have a purpose and a reason for why I do what I do. Yeah. But at the end of the day, no one's gonna remember my emotions. And
yeah, I mean, I think like his analogy was just like, in terms of like money and everything, it's like, we play this whole game, and at the end of the day, like, when the game's over, like, nothing happens. Like, all the money you gained, all the cars you had, all the fucking fame you had, like, none of it matters. So, I mean, like, in terms of that, like, in terms of, like, a lot of the Stoics talk about is, like, memento morti, which is, like, contemplate your death daily, which is, like, something that I've done. A lot of people think it's weird, but it's, like, when you think about it, it's, like, and especially with, like, money and stuff, is, like, money's just a tool. So it's like, don't get emotionally attached to it. Like, it's not going to make you happy. It's not going to, it definitely can help, but it's just simply a tool. Like, everything that we do, every accomplishment that we have, everything that goes bad, everything that goes good, is just like, it's all just temporary. So it's like, every opinion that people have about you, it's like, it's all temporary. So it's like, it's kind of freeing, because like, people take everything too seriously, and it's like, oh my God, this is just like so serious. Like, this bad thing happened, like, oh, my life's over. And it's like, it really doesn't matter.
I feel like a lot more people have that emotional attachment to money. And I feel like that's such a beautiful perspective to have financially, because that's the key.
As in, like, it doesn't matter, or it does matter?
What do you mean?
Like, people have that emotional attachment to money, as in, like, it's so important.
Yeah,
it is important, but
it is important, but my fascination with people who are successful is their ability to look at society as a whole and a norm, and do something completely opposite, or have a completely different perspective. And it just seems to be that everybody that has that perspective on money as a tool and a game ends up being successful. And everybody, I shouldn't say everybody, I'm sure there's a lot of wealthy people that have a different perspective on money, because it is a serious matter, and I think you can understand that it is a serious matter. But don't understand that by having such a close attachment to something that in the end doesn't really matter, it's hard to really scale it. Like, sure, you can build wealth, right? Like, you could be very cautious with your money and not have that, like, fuck you money type of approach, where it's like, we're just playing chips on a table, and, you know, if I lose 100 million, I lose 100 million. Not a lot of people are like that. And you could definitely build wealth being scared, but you're never going to build like that fuck you money without that attitude. Where now we talk about 1 foot in the door and 1 foot out the door. Again, I want that. I don't want, like, I don't want to be like, okay, I want to build my wealth the safe way. Like, if there's more, I want to have it. And it could run me into the ground, but whatever.
I mean, I think the interesting thing and it sounds like weird, but like, the interesting thing that I've discovered with money is, like, at first I was like you said, like, so attached to it. Like, I got to save all my money and like all this shit. And it's like end of the day that I come to the realization like even when I am extremely wealthy, like the money is not going to make a difference in my life.
It should.
So it's like once you get to that point, like it'll help me do a lot of things that I want to do. But at the end of the day, it's like once I get past a certain amount of money, so it's like, oh, I want to be a millionaire, I want to be a millionaire, I want to make 100 million. After a certain point, like the money's not going to change your life. It's like you can have $1 billion, your life's not going to be different than if you have like 10, 20 million. So it's like if you don't become that attached to it where it's like you're only chasing that and it's like that's your only goal, it's like it's tough to take the risk that you want to take and all this kind of shit because you're so attached to it. Like, oh, I need to get to this point, I need to get to this point. When you realize it doesn't matter, it just becomes like anything else, and it's like easier to attract it in a way, I feel like. Because you don't become so attached to, especially in the short term, like, oh, I lost a little bit of money or I did this, and it's like, it's all just a game anyways. But like, I feel like that's helped me a little bit. I mean, there's a lot of different ways that I look at money, but I feel like that's one that kind of like weird, especially at my point, even not having like, oh, I can just do whatever the fuck I want money, but like just realizing the money's really not that. It helps. It's a big deal. But it's like after a certain point, it's not going to do anything for you. Like money's not going to make you happy. It's not going to do all this kind of shit. It's going to allow you to do a lot of things, help a lot of people, but at the end of the day, like it's not yours anyways. When you die, it's gone.